Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. We are presented by The Athletic. Today on the show, Matthew Pennie is in the building. You know what it is. You saw the title. You clicked the episode. It's mock draft season, baby.
Oh, I didn't know we had a title too. This is live. This is live TV. I should have prepared myself a little bit better outside of my Patriots hoodie, which I'm wearing because it's a draft day today. It's kind of our draft day with a mock draft. It's an NFL draft, so I'm preparing. I'm trying to get in the mood here. Trying to get in the season.
Well, the good news is that no matter what we do today, nothing is going to be crazier than what Eddie Johnson said earlier today. Just genuinely, like, not a single thing is going to be more insane than what Eddie Johnson said. Earlier today, our guy, the dear sweet announcer for the Phoenix Suns, came up with a 6-pronged test for who should be able to vote on NBA awards. And our guy,
I made the first prong. I was like, all right, not a bad list. And then why don't you go on? Why don't you proceed here? A lot of prongs it narrowed down the field. I'll put it that way.
I want to see if Matt Pennie passes the test.
I don't think so.
Let's go. So number one, you have to play college basketball, or no, you had to play basketball at the collegiate level. Pennie, boom,
we got one, technically.
You're there.
Yes.
Number two.
2 starts.
You actually attend and watch 60 games live and not from some man cave on the couch.
See, I yearn for a man cave. We were talking real estate before we started here. I'm trying to find my man cave in Massachusetts. We're very, very expensive. But I haven't seen 60 games live. I probably saw maybe half of that in college, probably a third. So that's an X for me.
That is a very large number that actually stops you from doing the due diligence that it takes to vote on awards.
Oh, how many beat writers go to that many games?
The nights where you go to games, you're missing everything else.
Yes.
You're missing every other game that night. So you're inherently losing 13 other games, or the chance to catch parts and watch 13 other games. So hot take, bad prong. Test number 3, you take a class on the sociological aspect of sport. Pennie, did you do that at UMass?
Oh, that's a good one. I took psychology of sport. Is that close?
There we go.
All right. We got 2. I think Pennie, psychology of sport. Then I took a couple sociology classes, abnormal psych, which was a big athlete one. So I think I passed another prong here. Didn't see that coming. Okay.
Here we go. You have to walk on a court in front of 18,000 booing fans and a TV camera pointed at you and make 6 out of 10 free throws.
I don't know what scenario that is. Is that like some game show that we don't know? Like who's done that? Has anyone stepped to the free throw line and be like, all right, here you go. I had 20,000 people boo me at the Carrier Dome. Get out of here twice, but they didn't say now shoot 6 of 10 free throws. So I guess that's an X for me as well.
Oh my God. Just I need to see the game show. That they should make this like a TV show where the ultimate award is voting on awards. Like the people who make 6 out of 10, they literally just filter in 18,000 people and say
and when you win, they just hand you a ballot. Like, here you go.
Yes.
Here's your one paper ballot. Do you remember, this is way back. Do you remember the All-Star game when they first did the $1 million 3-point shot? I remember the guy's name was like Mike Hoban or something, but he comes out. It was All-Star weekend. It was like in between dunk and 3-point contest. He's like measuring up the hoop with the ball and like all the shooting stuff, and they airballs it. So that's what brought me back to this. Can you hit 6 out of 10 free throws?
Yeah, get this. We'll make this a televised event. Just 18,000 people. Tell them to boo these sports writers and just have them come in. Right? Like it'll be good. Totally good. 5, take a class on the history of the sport and pass a test. Pennie, have you ever done this?
No, I don't. There wasn't a history of basketball course available at UMass. I took some interesting ones. I took entomology. I think I took marine biology, astronomy, not history of basketball.
Like what? My man Eddie here is acting like, people who write about basketball aren't familiar with basketball. Like there are all these 30 and under writers voting on awards. Like, what are we doing here? I don't get it. I also don't, given how much the game has changed, I don't know how valuable a history of basketball lesson is, given that a part of our problem with just televised basketball coverage is all of these older players hating on the way the game is played now.
Yeah,
Like,
but the podcasting world has struck back, and leave it up to JJ Redick, one of the best shooters of all time, to be that hero for us. But when they asked on one of the programs and said, how would Bob Cousy be today? How would Kyrie Irving be back then? He said, Kyrie Irving, if you plopped him back into Bob Cousy's day, they'd think he was a wizard the way he dribbled the basketball. So don't compare those two. These are very different games. And no disrespect to Bob Cousy. We're a Boston-based program here, but let's just keep it real.
Number 6 in our final prong. Finally, you didn't take math above algebra. Penny, when did you take algebra in school?
I think freshman year. I think freshman year is algebra, then algebra 2, geometry, trig, pre-calc. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Is this just like poo-pooing analytics?
I can't tell.
Salary cap? I don't know.
Or if he's just like confused with the school system now, and the way that curriculum operates.
Do you think he posted that and said like, this is going to do some numbers here? Like this
I nailed
will do well. Yeah.
I think he thought I nailed it, man. Like I drilled this.
5 prongs were good. Could I add a 6th prong that could really push us over the top? Can I fit an algebra joke in here that nobody understands? Yes.
Yeah. Can I just advocate against the United States educational system and its curriculum?
Oh man.
Penny, you got to 3 out of 6, unfortunately.
What's my prize back?
How many
prongs? Did you have to have all the prongs to vote? I don't think we'd have any voters. This would have to be
like a
4 simulation.
You only had to have 4 of 6.
Close. I need those free throws. We need those free throws. Get 20,000 of our closest friends, and we'll just shoot free throws next game.
Given the scholastic system in the United States, realistically, you probably had to have like 4 out of 5. Because there's not a school in the country that is not teaching algebra at some point in the high school system. And I don't know about you, but like I would prefer most voters to at least have a high school degree. I'm not, college, whatever. Like go do your thing. I don't want to be elitist. Not everyone can afford college, right? But it's like literally a requirement to go to high school in the United States until you're 18. So like, I prefer that we see most of them have degrees among voters.
That's a list that doesn't make sense that you see in your Instagram Explore page. Like that's stupid. Just go buy it. But hey, we're NBA playoffs and NBA voting makes people go a little wacky.
Makes people go nuts. Shout out Eddie Johnson. This was fun. Okay, we're going mock draft.
Yeah,
let's go 1 through 30. We're not going to do teams until the next time.
Yes,
because we will actually have an order at that point, and it will be much more interesting to do teams. That means the next mock draft that we do will be in like 3 weeks, essentially, once the lottery happens, 2.5 weeks. So we'll be doing another one of these relatively short order. But because the NBA draft's early entry list is officially out, and we have, I believe, 283 names on it, 247 players from colleges, 36 international players. It's also worth noting that there are a few additional players that get into this mix here because they don't really fall into either of the early entry buckets. Someone like Leonard Miller is another example of this. Someone like I'm trying to think. Actually, the G League Ignite kids were not on this list because they're automatically eligible. So not everyone, but a really good. We actually know what the draft pool looks like now, essentially. So Penny, any broad takes before we get going here?
Yeah, we know what it looks like, but we still have a bunch of guys doing the old testing the waters. I feel like everyone was either transferring or testing the waters this year. So there is some uncertainty. A lot of those guys are late first, early second for me. So I don't know how many we'll cover there. And still kind of like some dominoes with if those guys pull back up, the early to mid second round guys could take a jump. I think that would benefit more of the older players. And I am also, as much as I'm looking forward to this one, also looking forward to the next one where team needs and you can take more risk. And you'd say like, well, they wouldn't go young. They went young last draft. Well, they get 3 picks. They might take a risk there. But this is just you and I. We're big boarding back and forth here.
Okay. So to determine who gets the number 1 overall pick, I'm going to flip the Chihuahua coaster. So this is heads.
Okay.
This is tails.
I'm usually a tails guy, but I got to go Chihuahua.
Okay, you're going heads. You're going Chihuahua.
I make my own luck.
Tails it is.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going number 1.
Deferring. Patriots will kick.
Okay. With the number 1 overall pick, I am taking Jabari Smith.
Oh,
which might be a bit of a surprise.
All right.
So the reason for that is, with the way that the NBA playoffs have gone this year, I think that it is showcased that there is an even more dramatic emphasis now in the NBA on switchable wings who can create their own shot and knock down jumpers. I think that Jabari Smith has the fewest holes in regard to his game translating at the highest level in playoff basketball. With Chet, I worry a touch about the intersection of strength and lateral agility, allowing him to defend at a playoff level in the NBA. With Paolo, I worry a little bit about the foot speed. With Jaden, I worry just about his defensive instincts in general. Jabari averaged 17 points a game this year as an 18-year-old. He's the youngest of these guys, and he already has, outside of the passing ability, which is critical and is a genuine hole in his game, the most complete, in my opinion, game that translates toward the NBA playoffs. That is my case for Jabari Smith at number 1. Do you have any strong opinions?
A little surprised I was, because his status at the top has been this weird non-linear trajectory. It feels like some people are cooling on him a little bit, but as a shot maker at 6'10", I love the shot. It's a beautiful stroke, limited movement, plays really hard, defends multiple spots. And he also found ways to be effective when he didn't have the ball at Auburn, found ways to score when he was limited off the bounce. He did everything that was asked for him and then some. Similar to you, I like the idea of him in the high post, stepping out, running some dribble handoffs, running some pick and pops, can flash that pull-up, 1-2 dribbles off the move, and he's a year younger than Chet too. Intel's that he's a worker, and I don't think being a top pick 1, 2, 3 is going to kind of lessen that either.
I will ask this question as well. Not who we would take, because I just said who I would take.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think is the player that is most likely, as of right now, before the lottery and everything? And I think this draft is so dependent on who gets the number 1 overall pick in terms of who goes number 1. It's polarizing across front offices. Hmm. Who do you think right now is the most likely person to go number 1?
That'll be my number 2 pick. And
okay,
it's a good segue into Chet Holmgren. So for Chet, I have my flag planted here. It's going to stay here. Yeah. For a guy at 7'1", who's long and active, 7'7" wingspan, I don't know if you saw the picture that's kind of making the rounds this week of him next to Taco Fall. He looked like equally as large, which is kind of like scary and shows you really how massive a human being that he is. With that sort of outside-inside game, not inside-outside game that he has with the rim production, like, yes, he needs reps. Yes, he needs time. You saw the flaws in the tournament versus more physical guys. He's going to improve. He's going to adapt. It's really all he's done since showing up to AU tryouts in 7th grade wearing cargo shorts. It's still new to him. So I'm in on him as a player, as a development guy. And of all the guys on the board, and this is kind of tying your point together, he's the one that if all the pieces align, he's the best player in the draft. There's a lot of ifs that need to get there, but I'm willing to bet on those ifs panning out over time. It's still a swing. It's not a sure thing. It's been the last couple of drafts where, I know Cade Cunningham came third in Rookie of the Year voting. Like, I felt good about him. I had LaMelo 1. You had LaMelo 1. Anthony Edwards 2 the draft before. Felt okay about those guys. I don't feel as positive that Chet's going to hit right now, but I do have some inkling that in 2 years we'll say, he was the number 1 pick in the draft.
From a skill set perspective, I think that Chet has the most complete game out of any of these guys, purely from a skill perspective. I think he really passes well. He shoots it well, obviously. He finishes at the basket at a high level. He can handle the ball out on the break at a high level for a center. His movement is okay on the perimeter. I would say he's not like a switch guy, but I don't think that he's dead if he's out on the perimeter on an island.
Right.
He's not, as Shaq would say, barbecue chicken in that scenario. He is going to get beat like any center does, but it's not going to be a disaster, I don't think. I don't think teams will consciously hunt it every single time down the court. I just worry about the strength and the length, because if it if he doesn't add 30 pounds and doesn't retain the athleticism laterally that he has, there are some very real flaws that pop up. Like with Jabari, for me, there aren't a ton of flaws that pop up as you develop him. It's just whether or not he can make like high level passing reads and continue to develop as a ball handler. I think guys tend to get better at those things. With Chet, the questions feel a little bit more real, even if I do think I agree with you that if all of Jabari Smith comes together and all of Chet Holmgren comes together, Chet is probably a more valuable, impactful player.
And here's my last kind of follow-up to you with this, and I've thought about this a lot too. If all those pieces come together for both those guys, are they ever a number one on a playoff team? Number one offensive option?
Yeah. I don't think either of them are.
I don't either. Yeah. So that's why it's sort of like, I don't want to say complementary piece, but I'm giving them like a little bit of the benefit of the doubt too, that like they don't have to be this supersized creator, because that's not what like I anticipate their role to be at the next level either.
Yeah. Okay. At number 3, I'm going to take the guy that I guess I think has the highest chance to do that. I don't think that it's likely that this person becomes like a number 1 option on a playoff team, on like a real contending playoff team, that is. But I guess that I think that he has the best opportunity to do so. It's Paolo Banchero out of Duke. Yeah. His polish with ball in hand is unbelievable. His intersection of skill at 6'10", 245 pounds is ridiculous. And he's a genuine mismatch nightmare. I think next year, even at the NBA level, the way he thinks the game and processes the game is exceptionally high level. He's going to be able to make high level passing reads, as he showcased throughout the course of the back half of his year at Duke. He's going to be able to, I think personally, knock down shots at some point. The question is, will he be a 35% three-point shooter, 34 to 36% three-point shooter, let's say, or a 39 to 41% three-point shooter? I think it's more the latter personally, and he makes a bit more of a killing in the mid-range. But at the end of the day, I'm a believer in Paulo's offensive game. I have a lot of concerns defensively, like I think you do as well. Yeah. But I'm a believer in Paulo's offensive game translating at a high enough level that I really like him at number 3 overall.
Yeah, it's a good sell. And he's also riding a nice wave right now of being the last lottery guy left in the NCAA tournament. So there, you do just naturally have the recency bias paired with the better play in the second half of the year, which allowed him to even sort of re-enter the number 1 overall pick discussion. I'm not saying he's going to go number 1, but it seems like more of a thing. Like in January, December is like, I don't know, this guy's kind of tailing off. And then he showed more of the size and strength paired with that footwork you discussed in the post and the mid-post. The passing got significantly better as the year wore on, a little bit more decisive with quicker moves. Can the shot get there? I think so. A lot of times it felt just more confidence than mechanical. I didn't think the shot was broken. It was just like in the brain. It was processing. It wouldn't surprise me if he shows more defense in the NBA too. It was like out of sorts at times at Duke, and people forget that in high school he was like a really good rotational shot blocker and quick to help across the lane. I don't know if like the schemes like didn't necessarily like work for him either. He's the most baked prospect of the bunch. And I mean that is that like he's like take the tray out of the oven type of guy. Like, you know what you have. Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, like the oven's got to stay on for about 20 more minutes. Paolo's like ready to go. So if you need something with immediacy, and this isn't like a low ceiling guy either, but just more of like, you know what you're going to get. So he's moved up my board. I had him 1 spot lower than you at 4. But I'm fine with him going 3rd.
Okay. Penny, you are up at number 4.
I like this so far because we've had different picks here. I think this one will be the same. I'm going to go with Jaden Ivey from Purdue.
Yep.
Jaden Ivey is the most electrifying player in this year's draft. I love the up and down style that he plays with. You can plop him into some NBA spots right now, and he would hold his own stylistically with how he adapts to different paces of play. You saw at Purdue. He was able to go out and go fast and transition. He was able to play in the half court. He's able to hit the gas when he needed to. He stopped at a dime and skipped it opposite. He has that malleability as a prospect to play different ways. I want him to tighten up the pull-up game. I want him to tighten up the decisiveness in the lane, especially with his off hand, with his left. A lot of times he's driving in there. He beats his guy and goes back to his right, despite being on the wrong side of the rim. And his defense could get there. He's a toolsy player that has the makeup to be a lockdown defender if he stays into it. He'll have some of those cheat steals every game, but yeah, he falls asleep and drifts and get caught up in a down screen and people are recovering, and it hurts his team. But I'd be surprised if he's a miss in this range. He just does too much out there offensively in transition, what he's going to be able to do in the half court. I believe the defense will get there. So I'd love getting him at fourth in this draft.
Yeah, the only two things that worry me here are the vision, consistently making the right decision as he drives as a live dribble passer in half court settings, and the defense. Like, he's just a weird, sometimes he's on, sometimes he's not defender. I think he actually defends a little bit better off the ball than he does consistently on the ball. Falls asleep sometimes off the ball too, but like, it's when he's engaged off the ball, like, he really locks and trails, fights through screens. Like, he has some moments where he's pretty high level. So yeah, weird. He's a weirder evaluation than the typical like super athlete guard, because there are disparate parts of his game that are, you want to buy into being just eminently fixable.
Yeah.
But also, like, he needs to prove that he's willing to do it at the end of the
day. And look, we talked last week about Anthony Edwards, and we had similar concerns. And now that he's willing to do it, and people are hailing him as a star, and Jaden Ivey, maybe that just takes one more switch, and it's a different system, it's a different franchise, and it really unlocks all those things that have been hiding in plain sight.
Yep. Too. Okay, number 5. This is where the draft gets a little bit more difficult. I am going to take Keegan Murray.
That's not difficult. Okay.
I think it's like not a no-brainer necessarily, but to me, he's the guy that I feel most comfortable with. There are two more guys, including Keegan, that I feel eminently like comfortable taking at 5 and 6, along with Jaden at 4, that are just a tier below those guys, right? Keegan's one of them. Averaged 23 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists per game. He shot 55% from the field, 40 from 3, 75 from the line. Averaged 1.3 steals, 1.9 blocks. Incredibly productive player. I worry about his defensive movement very much. Like, I have real concerns there. But he's a polished enough offensive player while being explosive enough athletically to where I see a lot of Tobias Harris in his game. I really quite like what I've seen from Keegan Murray. And for as much shit as Tobias Harris gets because he's on a max contract, Tobias Harris, for a 5-year stretch, averaged essentially like 19 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists per game, or I think it was like 27 and 3 assists per game or something, while shooting 50, 37, like 87 or something like that. So you get that at number 4 or number 5. I'm pretty comfortable with that at the end of the day. It's like just that sub all-star level player, which in this draft, if you could guarantee me that, and I don't think Keegan's necessarily guaranteed to do that, but I think he's a really good bet to do it. I would come away feeling very comfortable with that at number 5.
Totally. I had him also at number 5. You know what he is, and the jumper really came on late too. I mean, percentages could be a little bit higher. Just he started off slow, and then he got more comfortable. He showed he could score out of one-on-one situations. He's going to feast on mismatches against slower-footed bigs when it's switched out on the perimeter. And you mentioned the numbers and the scoring. And he did that against every defense and junk coverage you can imagine. I'm more of a believer in his ability to guard up the lineup a little bit. The one kind of analogy I want to make here is he does feel safe. We use the word safe. We kind of know what he is, right? I felt that way about Franz Wagner last year. Despite his numbers kind of being crazy in the tournament, I felt Franz Wagner was safe. To me, Scotty Barnes was more of a risk. Scotty Barnes, they're both very good players, and I'm not like kicking myself that I had Franz one spot ahead of Scotty. Scotty Barnes, rookie of the year, and exceeded expectations, right? If Keegan Murray's the safe pick, and you'll probably get to these guys down the line, at what point as a franchise do you take the swing and say, I'm not going safe, I'm going with Shaedon Sharpe, who could maybe hit more of, like, I don't think Keegan Murray's going to have like this astronomical trajectory, But if you can get a guy like Shaedon Sharpe, who's a little bit flashier, and it could be like a home run and not a double, like, do you take that swing at 5?
The Shaedon Sharpe conversation is going to be fascinating. Let's just hold that.
Okay,
I think.
so I got next, but just chew on it. That's just it's safety versus, hey, we could, door number 1 or number 2. Pull up door number 1. It's like, oh, great, it's a 4-pack of
Yeah.
whatever, and then door number 2, it's like could be $1 million, could be a pack of beer, who knows?
Yeah, at some point here in the next couple minutes, I would assume we're going to be taking Shaedon Sharpe. So let's just talk about Shaedon Sharpe when we go there.
And I'm not. I'm going to stick to my guns here. 6th overall. Shaden's got a few spots to go here. I'm going to go with Johnny Davis from Wisconsin.
This is the first one where
I got a couple. Buckle in. My next one's crazy too.
Yeah.
He's getting a bad rap. He is playing through injury and sputtering at the end of the year, where I argue he was gassed. He was playing 34 minutes a night all year long, really not having the chance to take any plays off. And that, I would argue, railroaded his shooting numbers. He shot 22% from 3 the last month of the season. He's never going to be a 40% shooter from 3, but he's better than what he was as a 6'5" combo that can get his own shot, play out of pick and roll, show defensive instincts away from the ball. I like what he brings to the table as another high-level complementary piece on an NBA roster next to a superstar NBA guard. He's going to be a lot better than people think, and that's why I have him 6th on my board. If he can help that Wisconsin team win a portion of the Big Ten, and all year all we talked about how low the Big Ten was, show me what he looks like when he has a couple of dudes around him too. So Johnny Davis, I really like him. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. That's why I'm taking him 6th.
Yeah, I've slid him down. He's not in my top 10 at this point.
Ooh.
It's mostly just because of the size. Like it's a lot harder to be 6'4.5" and be like a good 2 guard and make like a high level defensive impact. Like I think we're projecting for Johnny than it is to be like a 6'7" wing essentially, and make a high level defensive impact. If he was 6'7", I would take him at 5. No questions asked. It's just like, it's pretty hard to be 6'4.5" and, not have crazy length. He has good length, not like insane length, and really be a high level, like real difference making defender.
Did the missteps we took to an extent with Jalen Suggs impact your decision to put him down? Just because Jalen's not like crazy size, the situation for him developmentally wasn't the best. They have 1 million guards at Orlando, but did that jolt your thinking at all? I had Jalen 2nd. That was too high, obviously, in retrospect.
Yeah, me too.
But did that kind of change or shape your pick here, or non-pick? I guess.
No, I guess that it makes me understand that. I think Jalen Suggs is just a way better prospect than Johnny Davis, on a number of levels.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, the one place where they are comparable, I think, is shooting. The shooting with Johnny is really concerning, I think. I think the floor is lower than what we may have been evaluating throughout the year, as we kind of saw. As he starts to go up against longer, more athletic players, what if the shooting we saw from Wisconsin late in the season with Johnny is more what he is, I guess. I think the floor is lower for Johnny Davis, I guess, than what we thought it was early in the year, is what I would say.
All right. Okay. Next pick, you're up.
Number 7. I'm taking Ben Mathurin.
All right. Had him at 8.
Yeah. I have Ben at 6 right now. And the reason I'm taking Ben is because I think he's kind of, for all of the reasons we just talked about with Johnny Davis, to me, Johnny Davis is a smaller version of Ben Mathurin. Johnny Davis is a better defender right now than Ben, but Ben's tools are just much better, and they translate to him playing better in the NBA as we go up against higher level competition. On top of that, I think that the real critical factor here is the way that Ben closed the season. Was absolutely outstanding on a number of levels. He averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal. He shot 44 from the field, 39 from 3, 78 from the line. But more than that, he drastically improved as a passer. One of our two big worries for Ben Mathurin early in the season and coming into the season was that he wasn't really much of a distributor. He didn't know how to stop, survey, make a high-level decision. Over the back half of the season, over his final 15 games, he did that. He really improved in that regard. On top of that, he's bigger. He elevates more on his jumper. He has a really nice little floater game, that stop and pop jump stop floater game. He's more athletic than Johnny Davis is. Like I just kind of buy the intersection of size and athleticism at a higher level with Ben Mathurin.
Yeah, he had that awesome game, the monster game against TCU in the tournament, which everyone stayed up late for, and it's like, man, maybe this guy's a top 5 pick. He did go 4 for 14 the next one against Houston, and I thought he came back down to earth like somebody probably should after they have a 30 ball. At 6'6" or 6'7", did improve most statistical categories. 38% so shooter over his 2 seasons in Tucson. I don't really see him as a number 1 option, and that's why I have him. I think maybe I have him 8th, but I liked him. I just couldn't quite get there to put him in like that upper tier of the guys we just talked about before. Just something's missing. A little bit of the creation off the dribble. He's a 1 to 2 dribble guy. I don't know when he offensively gets on an island, is he going to be able to break down a man versus shifting defense out of a ball screen, a pin down better. I don't necessarily buy his one-on-one creation stuff as much as I would from Johnny Davis.
Okay, you are up at number 8.
All right, here we go. Buckle in. This is not going to be your 8th pick. It's my 7th pick. This is a big jump for me. There's another flag that I'm firmly planting now. I'm going to go with Malachi Branham from Ohio State.
I don't have him that far off.
Okay.
No, I would not take Branham here, but I'm not wildly far off from where you are here.
So a big jump, and I'd argue he was hitting his stride as the season ended. So it's sort of like you get to the best part in the movie, and the cinema shuts it down and says, "Hey, it's over, go home." No, it's not. His time in the NBA is the second part of the movie. Like we're not ending here. He averaged 20 points per game last month of the season. He has a great pull-up jumper with elevation. He showed he can make more threes to stretch the floor. We saw that in the NCAA tournament against Villanova. He doesn't have blinding quickness, but he knows how to use angles and screens to score and use those to his advantage. Just the best is yet to come with this guy. And this is the beauty of the draft is youth, and you take the swings for players you see outperforming what they did in college. And that's what I was alluding to earlier too. These are the type of swings that can change a franchise. I'm not saying it's necessarily Malachi Branham, but you have to believe that there's more to this player, and it can be there's probably some safer picks with more film and guys who've done it below there. And he wasn't thought of to necessarily be this one and done lottery pick. But for the way he ended the year and the way he got better and became the man on a team that was EJ Liddell's team and carried them for long stretches, I just have a gut feeling that it's going to keep getting better too. And the numbers are good too. I'm not saying, hey, I got a gut feeling for a guy that averages 6 points per game, shot 50, 40, 80 during the freshman season too. He would make a big jump if he goes back to Columbus. That's obviously not going to happen. So I'd be happy with him as a piece with what I got going forward.
Yeah, the only thing that really worries me is the defense. In passing, obviously a little bit, but more the defense. I thought he was terrible this year on defense. There's not another way or another way to put it. He was a disaster, I thought. The numbers show that. Ohio State was, I think, 7 points per 100 possessions better defensively when he was off the court. His positioning is mess. I don't think he has great defensive tools in terms of quickness, actually, either.
Yeah,
he's not a wild athlete. He's big. He has a great frame. He's 6'6", 6'11" wingspan. I have a big board coming on Monday, and I highlight him as a guy that is really moving up for NBA teams. So I don't think this is as crazy as what people will say. Oh,
they will. And people that do listen probably knew this was coming for us because we had him 16th and then 12th, and now we're here.
Yeah.
Your brain does funny things too. When the season ends, you go back and watch some film. It's you kind of remove yourself, then dive back into it. And
it's hard. It's hard in the middle of it.
Hard. Yeah.
Yeah, to really contextualize what's happening around the country. So yeah, no, I don't really anyone who's how does a guy move from 12th when the year ended to number 6 when the season when no games have been played. It's because teams go back, they watch tape, they do really strong deep dives on these guys, they contextualize that person within the entirety of the whole class, and you make a board out of it. Like it's not hard. I mean, this is yeah. I'm not diving into the weird straw man that I'm diving into. Number 9, I'm taking Shaedon Sharpe.
I was too, for the record.
Yeah, no. So Shaedon Sharpe, he is the highest upside swing remaining here. I would take him over Malachi Branham, certainly. I would take him over Johnny Davis. He's kind of the end of a tier for me. He is a really, really explosive athletically, 6'6", 11-ish wingspan, something like that. Great athleticism in the open court. I do want to see a little bit more of his athleticism in the half court, which we're not going to see pre-draft, unfortunately, but I do want to see more of how that translates when he's crowded, because I feel like that's something we didn't get to see a lot of with him as a finisher. The finishing numbers for him at Peach Jam last year were really good in half court settings. Like they were equivalent with like freaking Kyle Filipowski, right? Who's, 6'11", 7-foot center from Matt's neck of the woods. Really effective scorer on the interior. And Sharpe was right in his like ballpark as a top 5 percentage-wise finisher, but he got a lot of those on off-ball cuts and dunks and that stuff. Like I want to see as a self-creator how he finishes. We need to see how he looks on defense. He plays hard. I know that, pretty consistently. It's just whether or not he has any sort of real feel. Like I don't know what his feel is at the end of the day toward playing as an off-ball player, but gets to his pull-up game at a really high level, has the finishing numbers at the very least, has all of the tools to be a very, very, very good pull-up player. I would take him before this, but with the way the draft fell, I am happy for him to fall to number 9.
It's a mystery, man. It's basically a straight from high school or prep school player. And how much do you trust the unknown? Like the clips look good. Jonathan Giovanni tweeted out a clip of him working out. Measurements look good. This guy will not play a competitive 5-on-5 rep in pre-draft. So that means he won't have played a meaningful game in over a year by the time he puts on an NBA jersey. And the last meaningful game he played is prep school, high school. It's still kind of dicey what level of play that was. I like the explosion. I like the size for the wing. I still have zero fear for this. I'll be completely honest. You don't want to miss. You don't want to be the guy that took a high schooler nowhere near ready to play with the 9th pick, but also he could have been someone who goes top 3 next year if he played at Kentucky. So how much do you trust your individual evaluation for a pre-draft 1-0 workout? Scary, but I had him same slot as you.
Hey, excuse me.
What?
One-on-one workout with our legend Kevin Kangu. Shout out Kevin Kangu, baby. Gotta shout out Kevin Kangu.
One-on-one workout, better than the Yijin Leon chairman of the board workouts from way back from yesteryear. So okay, let's move on here. Okay,
Kevin Kangu, shout out Kevin Kangu. That's going to be our new bit on the podcast. Parrish and Norlander, shout out Larnell from DeAndre Ayton fame.
Yeah, love Larnell.
Yeah, we're going to shout out Kevin Kangu. All right, Penny, you're up at 10.
Thanks. So 10th, another person I don't know what to do with. I'm going to go with AJ Griffin.
Okay, I'm glad you took him.
Why? Were you about to, or just like take this off my plate?
Yeah, more take it off my plate.
Good. On highlight reels, when you do break down the film, he looks like a top 5 guy. If you just watch the highlights, despite the wide Bagwellian base from 3, he shot nearly 45% from distance, 50% from the field. Cuts well away from the ball, finds open seams. He's okay making some plays on the move. I'm scared with the lack of pop that sort of disappeared this season at Duke. He had some at Archbishop Steckmack. He had it on the Peach Jam, or on the UIBL. I'm sorry. Could it be an injury? Could it be him holding back? Maybe. I didn't like his defense away from the ball, especially. It looks like a little heavy, a little clunky at times. I'm sort of betting on him being a guy that looks like $1 million during pre-draft too, and works on his body and slides up. I have him 10th. You probably have him a little bit lower. I would still be surprised if he slides outside of the lottery.
I don't have him 10th. I have him within the top 10, I would say. I think this is reasonable. Like it's just a guy that I feel strange taking because I actually don't love the tape, weirdly. For all of the reasons you said. I love the shooting and I love just the frame and the physicality that he has potential to bring. But like the idea here is like you're hoping in a Jaylen Brown style way that he wasn't able to show everything that he can show at Duke because Duke's offense wasn't well spaced, right? But he's just nowhere near the athlete in terms of like pop. It feels like that Jaylen was. So maybe you're hoping that some of that athleticism comes back as he gets further away from the injuries. Maybe it does. That I think that's a real unknown factor here that could really play itself out, and why I think you have to have AJ Griffin in the top 10 somewhere. But complicated evaluation. Okay, we're at 10. Let's take a quick commercial break. Okay, I'm up at number 11.
Yeah,
here in our mock draft. I'm going to take Jeremy Sohan out of Baylor. Okay. Stole him from you. Yeah. I knew you're taking him.
Yeah.
Okay. The pitch for Jeremy Sohan is like a worse version of Scotty Barnes' pitch, kind of, insofar as like can handle the ball a little bit, makes reasonable passing reads, can shoot a little bit, defends well away from the basket, can kind of act as a ball handler in pick and rolls as well as a roll man in pick and rolls, can switch out away from the perimeter as a 1, and can even occasionally slide down to the 5 and deal with bigger dudes. Not necessarily super giants like Jonas Valanciunas and Joel Embiid, guys like that, but I think he can slide down and defend some 5s like Bam Adebayo sized, right? Just the versatility of skill set. I think that it's real. He's one of the youngest players in the draft, and I buy the upside of Jeremy Sohan eventually coming to fruition, even if it's a bit more of a project than what we would think.
Yeah, he can play everywhere. The new age positionless basketball. He is sort of the seamless fit on offense and defense. I also like his experience playing internationally during the COVID season. I think the jumper is going to get better too. Just a multi-use big that sort of showed he can play a multitude of roles. So that's why I had him the exact same spot that you did.
Okay, let's go. Number 12, you're up.
I feel like this is where it gets weird. I'm going to go with Jalen Duren from Memphis.
Okay.
So a true monster in the middle. He is big, strong, powerful, finishes by the rim, has some vision to pass out of the high post. I do want to see him keep it a little bit more simple. Shot blocker on defense. And this was a player who was the number 1 ranked guy in the country as I guess, a high school junior. He got the ranking. Then some in basketball circles say he took his foot off the gas. He relaxed a little bit. He's not going first in this draft. So he's going to have that chip back on his shoulder, too, to prove people wrong. I don't want to say he underachieved at Memphis, but he didn't quite live up to the mammoth expectations that he faced. He should be a senior in high school and going to the prom this week. He reclassified and went to college early. If a high school senior can do what he did, I'm good saying that he's a starting NBA center in a place that I feel semi-comfortable taking him at the back half of the lottery.
Yeah, totally reasonable. The question for me is just how heavy are his feet?
Yep.
Is he going to be able to move away from the basket? I think that's like a real thing that NBA teams have some concerns about, especially, again, we're in the middle of the playoffs. We've seen guys get played off the court. Can Jalen Duren improve his footwork enough to where he can stay on the court in those biggest moments? And then number 2, like just how limited is he offensively? How much room for growth is there offensively? There wasn't much this year, but we'll see long term. Maybe there will be. Okay. Number 13, I'm taking Dyson Daniels. Just the best defensive guard in this draft class, I think. He is 6'7", something in that range. He's going to be able to slide 1 through 3 pretty easily, probably going to be able to handle some 4 men. He's the kind of switchable, versatile player that really works in today's NBA. On top of that, he can play some point. He's a really, really high-level passer. Really sees the court well, sees over the top of defenders. Needs to shoot. Like, absolutely has to shoot it at some point. There's no question there. But if he shoots it, he's going to be a starting caliber player that makes an impact on playoff teams. If he doesn't shoot it, he's, an effective role player, I think, basically, because he's so good as a distributor, defender combination.
I'm 17th, so a few spots below you. Has all those tools and never going to be a super athlete per se, but smart. He's savvy, keeps your offense running. I like him, and I think sort of like, could he be more of a wing passing type guy like a Cade does at times, like a Giddey does at times, and not necessarily on the ball too. If he slides more in that role, you want that jumper to develop even more so. But yeah, it's sort of like the deviation of about 5 spots for me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. We're buzzing through. Let's go.
Good
Number
buzz.
14.
It's going to be under 4 hours today. I like that you took him there, because 13th on my board was one of my guys from last year, from this year. I get Ochai Agbaji, national champion from Kansas. And what a ride it's been. Outside the top 60 a season ago to now a semi-lottery pick here on our board. Worked his way back into that range and captures a national championship on the way. Much more assertive this year on the wing. Quicker making reads, always moving, went off the ball. He ran the lanes hard, stretched out the defense. Averaged 19 points and 5 rebounds per game. Shot 40% from 3. Had 29 points opening night versus Michigan State. And never really turned it off all the way. I get it. He's a bit older, so that's why he's here and not ahead of Ben Mather and ahead of Malachi Branham. But he's ready to help right away. You're not waiting for the development. He fits into an NBA locker room from a maturity standpoint, and that's why he's still a lottery pick for me.
Does the shooting tail off at the end of the year worry you at all?
Oh yeah, it does. I don't think it's all the way there, but remember we had this conversation like conference play. Remember his free throws like really down. It's like, well, and then the free throws went up. We kind of got quiet, and then he had a good game or two shooting the tournament. Then he cooled off again. He won most outstanding player. They voted like way too early, but he'll get there. He is a worker, and the preseason pre-draft stuff last year has made its rounds all over the place, and I'm okay knowing that he's going to contribute next year.
Okay. Number 15 we're up to now, right?
Yep.
I'm going to take Mark Williams out of Duke. Similar, that as Jalen Duren is, in my opinion. But Mark Williams is a little bit more polished defensively right now in terms of his positioning. He is, I think, a bit more of a consistent rebounder. When Duren's motor is running in, he's a better rebounder for sure. But when Mark is out there, I think he's a more effective offensive rebounder, particularly, and creates extra possessions. I believe that Mark Williams is a better rim runner right now than Jalen Duren is. But obviously he's older. I think he's like 18 months older, something like that. He's just more developed right now, but he has all the tools. 7'1", 7'6" wingspan, finishes really well above the basket, plays well in drop coverage, not a total liability away from the basket defensively. This is a starting center in the NBA at some point, I think.
He shoots 72% from the field, keeps it simple defensively with the 2.8 blocks per game. NBA starter. Him and Duren are really close. I flip-flop on which guy I have for the other. And he did outplay what I projected last season at Duke. I probably didn't give him a fair shake when the year before he did so much. I said that was just because of like the circumstances. No, he's actually good. He's a mid-first round pick.
Yep. Okay. You're up at number 16, Penny.
Okay. 16. I'm going to go with Blake Wesley from Notre Dame.
Okay. I have Blake as a first rounder. It's
yeah.
fun.
So we're swinging now. So a big guard with a big wingspan can make reads and plays off the dribble, shot it better as the year rolled on. Best part of this game is the shot creation, and he's learning how to blend the scoring and passing together. I didn't love a lot of the looks late in the NCAA tournament games. He was blocked by the rim, didn't have quite the pop, the explosion. But he's new to high-level basketball. His high school senior year was during that COVID year. What does he look like in 3 seasons? Does he make that sort of jump sophomore year if he goes back and he's the Johnny Davis, he's the Malachi Branham, he's the Jaden Ivey, Keegan Murray, whoever you want to put in that bucket, and then he's a top 10 guy. So to get him 6 spots lower, you're investing in his development and take some time to get him there, and that's why I'm taking him at 15 or 16.
Yeah, the thing that worries me with Blake and why I have him more in the 20s is just the combination of his inefficiency as a scorer and shooter right now, as well as the passing. Like, I think that the two are connected. He often misses passing reads and forces up really difficult shots because defenses have collapsed on him and he doesn't really see the court well enough yet. That's his key development. And I think that's like something that you can develop. at the end of the day. And if he does develop that and then improves as a shooter, yeah, I think that 16 is probably right, to be honest, for Blake Wesley. I think the floor is a little bit lower, which is why I have him a little bit lower.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I don't hate this by any stretch.
Yeah, that was one of my 3 I thought you'd hate. So for you to be lukewarm is a win in this house.
Yeah, I've kind of come around a little bit on him to where I just like am willing to bet on the tools at a certain point. Like, do I have him, I don't know, 8 to 10 spots lower than this? I do. And like, do I have a couple of guys in a tier that I feel pretty confident that they're going to be first rounders and like I would take them ahead? I do, to be honest, but I'm fine with where you have Blake Wesley at this point. I am going to take another kind of combo guard as I knock my microphone around.
This is live.
Live, folks. I'm going to take Ty Washington.
Oh, there it is.
Number 17. Okay. So Ty Washington dealt with injuries throughout the back half of the season. Prior to his injuries, he was the most effective freshman guard in the country analytically. He was the player whose tape I thought looked really, really good. Like you go back to those early games. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think he shot like 45 from the field, 38 from 3, 80 plus from the line while averaging like 14, 4, and 4. Just has a tremendous skill level and processes the game at a really high level. I know he's a little bit older and he turns 21 early in his freshman year, but early in his rookie year, but like I just buy the skill set and the way that he processes the game, translating at a high level toward playing as a role player with a bigger wing creator at the end of the day. So I don't know that he's for every team necessarily, but if I already had like a 2 guard or a 3 guard that the ball is going to be in their hands a lot, I really like Ty as my like point guard who can defend ones a little bit, defend twos, who can play as more of a secondary ball handling point guard and who can knock down shots and make high level passing reads.
I had him 19th, so a couple spots down. Older for the class, really even at his peak, he doesn't have great separation off the bounce. I thought the shot was fine, not great. And he has to sort of hang his hat on that hot start and some injuries that hinder his overall play. And UK guards post Kentucky, and especially Tyrese Maxey when he gets going, as crazy as it sounds, I think it helps his case a little bit. Like the offensive output could be more than was at Kentucky, and we'll never really get to know because once he got hurt in that Auburn game that, sorry if I cursed you, I was at, he was never really like that same player from the first half of the year.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. Okay. You're up at number 18.
All right. One of your guys, kind of technically. I'm going to go with Ousmane Dieng.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's who I was hoping would fall. So I'm there.
So turns 19 in May, if I'm not mistaken. 6'10", 220 pounds. I wrote him off in December. I did. I'm guilty of that because he looked really out of place in the games I watched. He wasn't making shots. The game seemed too fast and too physical. Then I went back and I said, oop, yep, missed this guy. And the first thing that stands out is his size. He's really big. He uses the length, the build, the frame well when coming off screens and getting downhill, and that's when he's kind of his best. The jumper is weird. It's like a sling across his face, and I didn't love that. But I like his smarts. He knows how to maximize give and goes. He spaces out the floor on drives and cuts back and creates like different angles there. He'll reset the offense when he needs to. His game is a little funky with these like short floaters in the paint and no real explosion in traffic, but gets where he needs to. And he also has a dose of mystery to him too, of the kind of type of player he is and the type of player it can be. But for his age and his size and the skill set, I'd like him here at this place in the first round.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if he ends up in the lottery by the end of the process by any stretch. I want to learn more about where he's at athletically and what the athletic upside is long term. I think that's where I'm like a little bit questionable right now because he's just more of a Cadillac than he is like a Camaro, right?
Ooh, like
he kind of gets to his spots and just cruises to his spots, but he can do it because he's so big and his extension and stride length is so big. It's easier to recover on him though a little bit right now. And over his last 12 games, he averaged 13.3 points on 48% from the field, 36% from 3. Like that's awesome numbers playing professionally in the NBL. The NBL is a good league. Like
At 18, yeah.
Yeah, really, really good as a teenager. So yeah, this is the guy I was considering with Ty. So by the way, we're now at the point where
Oh,
all of my guys that I think are like lock first round picks, like no doubter first round picks, are off the board. 18 picks in.
wow. Okay, we'll keep going. I'd argue there's a few more, but I don't totally disagree with you.
My next pick at number 18, 19, I have 19.
Yeah, you have the
19.
odds. Yeah.
Tari Eason
Yeah,
is
so
where I'm going.
he's a first round pick, right? Like I had him 18 as well. I'd be surprised if he falls out of the first round.
I would be surprised, but I don't think it's impossible. He lasts to like 35 or so. Yeah, 6'8", defends really, really well. He can switch and slide, and he can protect the rim. He's really strong, rebounds at a high level, establishes position at a high level. Ultimately, a lot of it comes down to where you are on the jumper. His jumper is a work in progress mechanically. Has good touch, hit 36% from three this year. Can also go out and handle the ball in transition at a high level. But kind of a catapulty, weird looking jumper at the end of the day. That's not going to be for everyone, I think is the way to put it. 17 points, 7 rebounds. I think he's a better passer than the 1 assist per game. Like he shows some flashes as a passer. Not going to be like a distributor necessarily, but not like a selfish player by any stretch. And I think the open court of the NBA will help him a little bit more. So Tari Eason, 19.
Transition to a big that's kind of that 4-3-ish type role. Gets up and down, and I do have some concerns though. When the court is shrunk down, and he needs to make some reads there, and it's not as wide open. Needs to develop the left hand too. Like he won't cross over; he'll just go backwards and take a right, like a car that doesn't have like a blinker going the other direction. But I'd say he's a first round pick. I do. I don't think he would go crazy higher or crazy lower, but sort of this space here.
Yeah. Okay. You are up. Number 20.
All right, so 20 is actually 20 on my board. I'm going to go with Marshawn Beauchamp from the G League Ignite. Marshawn seems to be the early leader for draft workout MVP. If you've seen the videos, he looks like $1 million. He's hitting mid-range jumpers, hitting threes. It's like, well, can that guy do that? Maybe a little bit older. He only showed that a little bit with the G League Ignite. It was more the activity level away from the ball, rebounding, putbacks, playing in the middle of the zone. He's a 4th or 5th starter. That's how I view him. He turns 22 in October, so he's older. You have to know this is more of sort of what you're getting. We've said this for a few guys, but I don't think he's going to come in and like significantly outplay this range for how old he is, what his experience level is right now.
Yeah, when I went back and watched the Ignite tape, I was less enthused about him and kind of dropped him back pretty substantially. I don't really like the jumper when it's in the run of play, but maybe it improves. He's clearly a worker. Like that's the big thing that I keep coming back to and why I can't quite get him outside of the first round, even though like the tape to me says he should probably be slightly outside of the first round. If you think that he's going to work and shoot, he's a no-brainer first rounder. He's 6'7", long arms, a junkyard dog, like defends, like really goes into the dirty areas of the court, has no problem doing that. Like not a great passer, but not a selfish player by any stretch. You just really have to buy the shot. And if you buy the shot, then you take him, where are you at? 20? Yeah, I think it's a reasonable
20.
pick, but I had him a little bit lower, but not much lower at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're in the weird place. We're in the upside down. So 21. You said you had some wild ones for me. Give me a wild one at 21.
Couldn't get much farther than this without Pat Baldwin.
I had him 23.
And it's just I buy the shooting. Like I think that he just had nobody to create for him this year. Their guard situation was an absolute disaster. I just think that if he has guys that are able to get him open threes, it's going to work. He's enormous. Like he's like almost 6'10" from what I've been told. And he is just someone that you go back and you watch the high school tape and you're like, how did this fail so badly?
Yeah.
As a freshman at Milwaukee. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Maybe it really is just as simple as being a total mess in terms of guard play. But here I feel a lot more comfortable betting on him to give effort and play intense level basketball than I do at 14, 15 or whatever. So I don't feel great about this pick. He'll be one of the worst statistical profiles to be drafted in the first round in a long time.
Yeah.
But you go back and you watch the tape and it makes sense from high school.
I thought he had a chance to be a top 5 guy in the preseason. I did. College season was a mess. That team played hurt. Never, ever got it clicking. But for a shooter with size that was a top 3 player in his class, you have to imagine, what does this look like at Duke with that lineup? Or a wing at North Carolina when they make their run? Or really any offense that would make his life easier. He wasn't the guy, but he can be a guy on a very good NBA team. And now in the 20s, it's more veterans, more teams that have won, winning cultures. He doesn't have to come in and, like, if he's picked 10th, it's the same expectation level all over again. It's like, okay, go be the savior. He wasn't at Milwaukee, just being frank. But he can be a good, like, number 2, good number 3 against a team that just maybe needs some scoring off the bench. Has work to do, has some questions to answer. Also came out today via Jonathan Givony that he is in the transfer portal.
Yep.
If he doesn't get a promise in the 20s, I would go play at Duke, go play at North Carolina, go play at Northwestern. Do something, because your stock is only going to improve. Because if you can't get that promise there and you slide into the second round, then it gets dicey on G League, non-guaranteed year 2, a two-way. Like, who knows? It becomes a real crapshoot. He's too talented to get there. So if he goes beyond this range, yes, transfer, build your pub, build back up your case. If not, go to a vet team that you can help, and you don't have to be expected to produce really right away.
I agree. Okay, let's go to number 22 for you.
22. This is very anti-me. I'm going with another big. I'm going to go with Walker Kessler from Auburn.
Okay. Yeah, I have him in this range.
7'1". He's huge. He's very long arms. He was National Defensive Player of the Year for most of the season. Sets really big screens. He rim rolls. Unfortunately, saved his worst for the last in the NCAA tournament. Not just those couple of games alone hurt his stock, but it did bring up some questions. So finishing stuff, pair it with the streaky shot that never really got back to where he was in high school, and that's the tumble. I like him in the 20s. I got him as high as like 15 or so during the year. If he's able to protect the rim and allow his guards and his wings to pressure the ball a little bit more, he'll find a way to stick out there. So you're also, it's weird saying like you want more from the National Defensive Player of the Year, but we talk about the NBA playoffs and staying on the court, not being exposed to ball screens. So he'll have to do some of that carving out too.
Yeah, that's why I don't have him in the teens, is because I don't think he could play in the playoffs right now. I think he'd get played off the court, frankly. Having said that, he has a chance to shoot at some point, like you said, and he is the best rim protector, purely as a rim protector presence at the basket right now in this class. I think he has a real chance to be a regular season starting center. The epitome of, like, right now, at least, an 82 game defensive player versus a 16 game defensive player, as Draymond Green likes to put it. And that's fine. Like, in the 20s, if you get that guy and you feel confident that that's who he is, that's a worthwhile pick, because he'll provide you value at the end of the day. Okay. Number 23.
Getting there.
This is where we're going to get a little nuts. I'm taking Jake LaRavia.
Oh,
let's go.
Oh my God.
Where'd you have him? Give it to me.
Not there. He was not in the first round.
Yeah, not surprised. Okay, so
well, you said Jay. I thought you were on somewhere else. We'll get there. Keep going.
No. Jake LaRavia, high-level shooter, high-level processor of the game, great passer, really knows just kind of how to make it work defensively. He doesn't have great feet, but you go back and you watch the tape and he figured it out, right? Like, you could catch him occasionally. On top of that, I think there's a lot of room for growth in terms of the frame, in terms of adding a little bit of lateral quickness. He's a little bit pudgy right now. You go back and you watch the tape, like, it feels like there's some upward growth potential once an NBA team gets their hands on him in terms of being able to like develop his frame. This is a kid that, small town, Indiana, if I remember correctly, and then goes to Indiana State, like didn't have the best strength and conditioning training throughout the course of his life. I'm willing to bet on brain, analytics, shooting, passing, processing ability at this point in the draft. I think that LaRavia has, like, I've been high on him throughout the year. I'm just willing to bet on it here. Look, do I feel like fucking phenomenal about taking LaRavia at number 23? Not necessarily, but like, in this draft, I think that's what you do. You take the guys that you feel confident in.
You were the first person legitimately that mentioned his name this year. I feel like this is you also overcompensating to be like, damn it, this is my guy. You're not jumping me. You put him at 35. I'm taking him at 27. For Jake LaRavia,
we're gonna have a bet on whether or not Jake LaRavia goes in the first round.
It's gonna be close.
We're gonna do something.
One ticket to LaRavia Island. Who is he in the NBA? I hate playing this game, but I have to. At 6'8", is he like? I saw somebody throw it there. Is he like a George Niang type? Like who comparatively would you say like you see him as being?
Combo of Niang and like Max Strus in terms
Max
of like
Strus. Max Strus has a flamethrower as a jumper.
I think he can. I think LaRavia.
Max Strus is like playing Duncan Robinson like off the floor. Like that's.
But he's not playing Duncan Robinson off the court because he's as good of a shooter as Duncan. He's playing Duncan off the court because he can defend and has real physical strength.
I get it, but.
Well, it's not that Strus is playing Duncan off the court. It's that Duncan is playing Duncan off the court because he can't defend.
You get my point, though. Like the reputation is you have a flamethrower as a jumper, and as good as a shooter Jake is, I don't know if we necessarily say he's like that tier of shooter.
Yeah, I think that he can be. I mean, the only reason we don't say he's that tier of a shooter is because he doesn't take shots. All of the percentages say that he's a great shooter. Yeah. Like there's nothing in his profile from a efficiency standpoint that says he's not a great shooter. It's just purely the volume because he just doesn't take them for whatever reason. I think if a team can actualize him being willing to take shots, and by the way, you talk to anyone around Wake Forest, you talk to like anyone who's known Jake LaRavia, it's not a confidence issue. Like that dude has confidence like seeping out of his pores. It's just that he didn't take the shots, for whatever reason, be it he wanted to play unselfishly because Alondas Williams was taking every shot at Wake Forest. Like, it's, there are a number of reasons, I'm sure. Right.
Yeah. Like this has been game theory bingo with Jake LaRavia. We got a Max Strus reference. We're clicking. We're good.
Wait until we get Primo. We're going to get a Poku reference in here at some point. We're diving in. Let's go.
We are back. Okay. What pick am I? This is
24.
All right. I'm going to be boring. Vanilla ice cream. I am going to go with EJ Liddell from Ohio State. Bounce back year after a shaky combine last season. He scored, he rebounded, he passed. He's in much better shape. His feet are quicker. Can be a small ball five. Is he that player in spurts or someone who could stay on the court for longer stretches? Will he be hunted out there because of that lack of size at times? I said this at the last mock. He's safer than a lot of freshmen that we're kind of getting into now. That stretch big that shoots 40% from three and clearly will work to get better in the 20s. That's a good pick.
Okay, let's do this right now. Let's compare Jake LaRavia to EJ Liddell in terms of the way that they profile.
Yeah.
So Jake, I think, is about the same height, maybe like a half inch taller. He has longer arms than EJ Liddell. Mm-hmm. They're about the same weight. EJ has more vertical pop, which allows him to be a bit more of a rim protector. I think he's a bit stronger than Jake as well. From an offensive skill set perspective, they are not even close. Like LaRavia is a much better shooter. He's a much better passer. He processes the game quicker. Like that was something I really genuinely considered as I was putting together my big board, is like considering the way that EJ Liddell's game translates to the NBA versus Jake LaRavia. And I came away thinking the way that those two translate, EJ Liddell had a better college season, but he is more capable of being a number one option on a college floor. Neither of these guys are going to be number one options on an NBA court. I think Laravia's skill set translates much better to being an ancillary option on an NBA court, given that it's not like Liddell moves super well on the perimeter. Like, it's not
No,
like we're
but
talking about a
but
guy
but
who's
better.
like,
And I wouldn't say Liddell is also like this bully ball Big Ten forward center who just like plowing through people. He did that at times, and I've said it,
but
like when
do you
they
buy the
played
jumper though?
Minnesota, he went through. Like the 1 year thing is tough. I mean, the numbers I always talk about is like Davion Mitchell had the 1 year, and it wasn't like that type of shooter. But you have to believe that somewhat, if it's 40% from three for a season, that there's some jump shooting ability there. I'm just still taking back that I didn't anticipate the Laravia push so hard. As you were like the waving the flag for the fan club, I just didn't think we were going to make such a leap. But I'm here
I'm
for
doing
it.
it.
Yeah, you're doing
Let's
it.
go. Like, I really think that he is the way that he translates to the NBA is better than the way EJ Liddell translates to the NBA. It's not a shot at EJ. I think EJ is going to
No,
play
I
in the
get it.
NBA,
You took him
right?
before
Like,
him. Yeah.
yeah, it's just that, and by the way, like EJ's shooting numbers, you look at them over the course of the first half of the year versus the second half of the year, like the 3-point numbers
Tailed.
really
Yeah.
fell off.
Mhm.
You look at his last 12 games, he shot 32% from three. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm not out on EJ Liddell, but I think that, Laravia, in my mind at least, has a better case.
I love it.
Okay. I am up at number 25. I'm going to go Kennedy Chandler. That's like just kind of an easy one for me, I guess. Did you have Kennedy as a first round pick?
I gotta look here. Where's my big board? I am 33, right outside.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like you take the guy that is good at basketball here for me. I understand he's undersized. I've been the first proponent of saying that Kennedy Chandler's undersized, and that's why I don't love him as like a top 20 pick, right? But at 25, I feel a little bit more comfortable with it. He was the SEC tournament MVP. He was terrific over the course of the back half of the season, like really, really stepped up, really improved, I thought, as a distributor. Great speed, obviously. I don't think he has much craft as like Sharif Cooper off the bounce or anything, but the thing that he does do that Sharif didn't do last year is he can shoot a little bit from three, and he defends. He really, really defends at the point of attack. So do I think he's going to be like some difference-making defender? No, but like looking at the way Jose Alvarado, for instance, has come in
he helps.
and been able to at least make an impact defensively, I think there's a case that like Kennedy Chandler can come in and use Alvarado as like a, off the bench measuring stick. Like, hey, come in and be the dude that you have to be defensively to get on the court. And I think Kennedy would be willing to do that early in his career.
I love that Jose Alvarado has become John Turturro and Mr. Deeds. Like, you underestimate my sneakiness. Like, yes. Jose Alvarado is like literally on the bench and like looking the wrong direction, just like takes off 1,000,000 miles per hour and like steals the ball. It's like a weird hidden ball trick that I enjoy watching. Kennedy Chandler did get better. I thought he was better making pick and roll reads too late. That Michigan game, like he was roasting Hunter Dickinson like every which way, no matter the way he covered it. And when you have bigger NBA centers that are guarding, defending ball screens, he can make that to his advantage. I'm always going to be hesitant on the size unless the jumper is super consistent. That's why I have him at 33, but he's moved up for me too. He's moved up a few spots.
Okay. You are up at number 26.
26, I'm going to go with Bryce McGowan from Nebraska.
Okay, let's do it.
I've said the same thing.
I'm so mad at you, by the way.
Why?
Because now I only get to take one of my like two wild stabs in the dark because
well, so do I. So we're in this together.
Yeah.
I thought I gave up on Bryce, and he improved later in the year. He hasn't really fully grown into the frame of 6'7" with long arms, but does have a length, does have some explosion on the catch, can rip it off the rim and go full court end to end. He's slim, but he really controls his body and keeps his balance on those drives and euros, despite getting some knocks here and there. Can drive either way, has different looks with it. He'll hesitate, he'll hit the gas, he'll finish opposite. He varies how he does that. Keeps the crossover low despite being as big as he is. Again, this is time. This is patience. This is hoping that a year from now he looks like a different player.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's totally reasonable. I think he goes somewhere in the first round for sure. Somewhere like 18 to 35. Something somewhere in that range. Some team like really might buy into his tools and ability to dribble. And like, here's the other thing, like that kid's tough. Like he does not shy away from contact at all. He drives to the rim.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if he's getting knocked down, and he gets knocked down because of how skinny he is. Like, he's just going in, he's embracing contact, and that's like a big part of just playing in the NBA at that size, is just being willing to do it, right? Like, don't be afraid. And I don't think he's afraid of anything when I watch him.
No, I got the same read.
Okay. 27, I'm going Kendall Brown.
Not that crazy.
And what?
Not that crazy. I'm 28th. Thought we were going real double crazy.
Yeah, no, like Kendall Brown at this point is a steal, I think. His athleticism and ability to pass and potential to be a switchable defender, it's just worth investing in at number 28. I get that he might not be as good as what we thought he was early in the season. You really have to buy into the shooting and into the touch, but it's just really hard to find guys that are 6'8" and twitchy athletically like this and actually want to defend. Like, he defends at a really high level. And again, he is enormous. Like, guys that are 6'8" are much better defenders at the NBA level than guys that are 6'5". It's just a much easier translation. So yeah, Kendall Brown.
Yeah, I like him. I had him 28. Fallen had the hot start. I thought he was going to be a passer. He wasn't. I didn't like that he didn't play in crunch time of those Baylor games. But you buy the youth, you buy the bounce. Most of his baskets come in the paint. Up and down system, he's going to thrive. Work on the three, speed it up a little bit. I see that.
Yep. Okay, number 28. You're up.
Yes, I'm at 28, and I'm doing it. I feel better about it than I did a few months ago. I am taking Josh Minot. The dream becomes a reality with him being a first-round pick to a contender that doesn't have to rush his development. Early on, he's going to be able to score with the slashing, with the cutting, making passes, affecting the game on both ends, and making those sort of like, where did he come from plays. I know this is going to be the thumbnail to the you're blurry, you're blocking me out. I've been tagged in some of the workout and jump shot videos. It does look better. I don't put too much stock into that. He's still hitchy with the release, but he's young. He should have played more at Memphis. He can get pro reps in the G League. Draft him, storm away. We'll talk in 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, I have no thoughts to add on mine.
You have him in the 40s. It's not like that insane. It's not like you had him like 60.
It's your yeah, and I have him like in the like high 40s. Yeah. Like, he's a worthwhile investment. Okay, I'm deciding between two guys right now. Both of them like a little bit off the radar. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara, not out of Arkansas. Jalen Williams, 6'6", 7 foot wingspan ish. Really, really has a terrific all around game that I think is going to translate to him murdering in workouts. Mm-hmm. And if, by the way, it shows on the tape. He averaged 19 points, I believe 6 rebounds, and almost 4 assists per game. Or no, he averaged over 4 assists per game this year, while shooting over 50% from the field, nearly 40% from three. It's just small school, and it's Santa Clara, and you have to be willing to buy into it. But you watch the tape, this dude has shake. Like, he is 6'6". He has long arms. Like, he has a low center of gravity. He has kind of a thick frame that allows him to manage contact. Like, he just goes through contact while still having that weird, like, fluid hip situation where he's able to shake and get guys off the bounce. I think he's just going to skyrocket through this process. I think that people have him at like 50 right now. I think the more people watch him, the more they're going to be like, oh, I get it. That translates to the next level at a high level.
I do think he sneaky could become a first round pick. I'm at 35. The name that seems to be when people go back and watch film, like we missed on him too. He was a former Game Theory Prospect of the Week. No big deal. Yep. The clip of him shaking Chet and Chet falling over has made the rounds too. I'm a little bit worried, like you said, about the frame, about the size. Like, that does work more like in the NBA, but is that like quickness type of movement still going to be able to work when like he lowers his shoulder some? Like, he has to shake, but he does rely on physicality a little bit too. So what does that look like playing up? But I really liked him all year, so I wasn't totally blown away with this one.
Okay, you're up. Number 30, Penny.
Am I 30? Oh, I went second, right? Okay. I'll take a begrudgingly another freshman who didn't live up to expectations, and I'm going to take Peyton Watson from UCLA. I'm betting on the former top 10 player out of high school that was in a logjam for minutes on a returning Final Four roster. Extremely versatile from the forward spot, can set screens, can come off screens, can shoot from three, defends all over. He's an asset in transition. Make this pick and just don't overthink it. Check back in a year and a half. If this is the NBA champion or someone like that getting the pick, he doesn't have, again, like the expectations of coming in and being the guy right away. He needs a year or two. To anyone you talk to, that's what they echo. And there's value in getting him this late in the draft.
Okay, so Peyton Watson, he turns 20 on September 11th, 2002. Let's make a quick.
Born 2002, right?
Yeah, born 2002. Yeah. He turns 20.
46.
Turns 20 on September 11th. The next guy on my list, I will tell you, was Dalen Terry. And Dalen Terry turns 20 when I'm trying to pull up the birthdays we're talking right now. Turns 20 July 12th. So they're, within, a couple months of each other, basically the same age. Both of them 6'7", 7-footish wingspan, great tools. Why Peyton Watson over Dalen Terry?
Why Peyton Watson or Dalen Terry? The peak of Peyton Watson from high school, from the All-Star circuit, is more of like the lengthy scoring wing off the bounce. I think Dalen Terry's passing is better. I think Peyton's jumper is better. So it's a little bit like what you prefer out of a prospect. I mean, Dalen Terry clearly showed it more. I mean, that's not a debate. And we thought it was when Kirk Caruso got hurt and he stepped in right away. It was like, ooh, this is like the Malachi effect guy. And then he came back down, and part of it's like Benedict Matherin's really good and had 30 points in the tournament. So he didn't have that like total shine moment either.
Yeah, no, I keep coming back to Dalen Terry. I have a first-round grade on Dalen. A lot of it's not as good as Tyrese Halliburton in terms of the statistical profile, but it's a lot of similar aspects, like incredible steal rate, great passer, very low turnovers. Like it's almost a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio for Terry at this point. 50% from the field, 36% from three on limited attempts, rebounds the ball pretty well. Just, played a limited role. I think if he goes back to Arizona, we're talking about a guy that goes 14th overall next year.
Yeah.
Dalen Terry. I would try and get him now at 25 or something like that. Like I have him in that range as opposed to other guys. But yeah, no, I would take Dalen over Peyton pretty comfortably because all defense in the Pac-12 versus Peyton, who's very clearly a work in progress on that end. Much better passer, decision maker, playmaker than Peyton. And the shooting is a non-disaster, I would say. Like I don't think Dalen Terry is going to be a non-shooter at the NBA level.
No, I don't think that either. Like I do think it's going to get there. He had a couple in the Pac-12 tournament where it looked okay, but the difference is I'm just looking at my phone. Dalen Terry played 28 minutes a game. Peyton Watson played 13, I guess, like in spurts here and there. Like played single-digit minutes in the tournament, the Pac-12 tournament. So it's a little bit of a tough comparison too, because like Peyton Watson's a good defender. Like he can defend the rim and pull balls off the rim in transition, but if he doesn't get the reps, it's harder to do that as well.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I think it's going to be a real debate for NBA teams, like between those two, if Dalen Terry stays in the draft. Okay. That's 30. We got through 30 in 80 minutes.
Pretty good.
Let's go.
Pretty good.
We did great.
So we did great. Let's now punch holes in what we did. I don't want to say the misses, but then the names kind of left on the board here. I'm just going to rattle off like 5. Jaden Hardy. Terquavion Smith moved up for me. He did. He's close.
Yeah. I had a first round grade on Terquavion.
Christian Brown, Christian Koloko, Nikola Jovic, and Wendell Moore.
I have a first rounder on Jovic as well.
Those are kind of like my next level of guys.
Yep. Terquavion, Hardy, and Jovic are the guys that I have first round grades on that did not get taken.
Are there any? So the internet is abuzz, and I know some NBA people are too. Are you a believer at all in Ryan Rollins' first round pick?
I think I was the first person to put him in round 1, like in the public sphere. I have him at 27 on my most recent published big board. I went back. I'm a little bit more worried about the defense. I think I have him at like 35, 36, more like early second round range.
Yeah, I have a 39. Same kind of space.
Yeah, I really like Ryan. Like I'm quite in on the skill set, on the game. Was he and Johnny Davis the only two teenagers in college basketball this year to average at least, what is it, like 18 and a half
19,
points a game?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So no, I'm in on Ryan Rollins. I have him ahead of Josh Minot. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm just out here taking little fucking stabs. That's my goal.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Okay, Penny, tell me everything you've watched in the last week.
So no movies, but I am on my TV kick, which I feel like is close. It's home cinema, maybe not cinema. So Better Call Saul is back and is fantastic. I also watched, I guess this is a movie. I started watching on Hulu, Captive Audience. Have you watched that?
I don't even know what that is.
So it's about the Steven Stainer story. He was abducted at age 7, then went back to his family at age 14. And his family is there. There's more layers to it. There was a TV movie made about it called My Name is Steven, or like I Know My Name is Steven, in like the 80s or 90s that came out. So it's 3 episodes, but it's weird because he passed away like later in life. So they have the actor that played him in the TV movie as a kid reading his old interviews at times. So I'm like, this is really all over the place. But I watched it. I watched the first episode. But the good one, which I hope you've watched, is We Own This City on HBO. Have you watched that?
No, I didn't watch the first episode yet.
So it is about, for people not in the know, it's about the Baltimore City Gun Trace Task Force. And The Wire is my favorite drama, just ahead of The Sopranos ever, right? I can't get it enough. They were very authentic in including some of these characters back into the show, but it's weird because it's just the actors. It's not like the characters from The Wire. So like Marlo Stanfield plays a detective. Like Poot plays like a guy on the task force. Landsman is still like a cop. So I have this weird brain where like the continuum of a show like keeps going. So I'm like, is Marlo Stanfield like clean up and now he's like a detective and Poot's on the task force? I don't know. But the first episode is really, really good. One of those that ended and my wife said, play the next one. I said, yeah, that's not how, unfortunately, this one works. We can't rattle off 8 in a row. That was the first show in a while that I said that. So that was enjoyable. That was kind of my roundup.
Yeah, I will watch that this week.
Yeah, really good.
Laura. Yeah. What have I watched? Did I mention that Laura and I started watching The Dropout?
Ooh, what was The Dropout again?
The Amanda Seyfried show where she's playing Elizabeth Holmes.
No. That's the Theranos one, right? Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you did not. I watched the documentary. What was it on? I think it actually was on HBO before. But I haven't watched the series.
Yeah, the series is awesome. Like Amanda Seyfried is amazing. Like the first performance in a while where I've been like, oh, that's like on the level with like Kate Winslet in Mare of Easttown.
Oh wow, okay.
Like I think she's like, you like can't take your eyes off of her on screen because she's making so many little choices that are so interesting. Right. given this woman that like we have this general sense of, right? Yeah. As a public figure. I saw The Northman.
How was that? That's got mixed reviews. I think the internet sort of loves it, sort of hates it, and sort of doesn't know what to do with it.
I mean, technically, like in terms of like all of the crafts, the acting, the cinematography, the way it looks, the score, it's one of the most impressive things I will see this year. Like undeniably. It left me just like kind of feeling whatever in terms of the story, but like you come away watching it and you're just like, that was impressive. I don't know how much I enjoyed it, but I know that Robert Eggers is fucking incredible as a director and like visionary who comes up with this shit. More like impressive than like enjoyable, I guess.
Right.
And then yesterday I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Go on. I don't know if I'm familiar with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, once you tell
It's
me what it is, I'm sure I've seen the preview or the trailer somewhere.
so it's the movie with Michelle Yeoh and Kihei Kwan, who played Short Round and Data, like Short Round from Temple of Doom, and then the Goonies.
I mean, I love the
Data,
Goonies. Yeah, of course I know
yeah.
Data.
Um, I don't want to say anything to you other than
No, I don't. I don't. Maybe I'm too into draft mode here that I have not. I'm not familiar with this movie.
Yeah, I don't want to say. I think you should go see it. Like genuinely, like it's amazing. It completely blew me away.
The first sentence is when an interdimensional rupture unravels reality. Oh boy,
Yes,
there's a
but
lot
it's
there.
not.
I'm not even gonna read the second
It's
sentence. There's a lot there.
yeah. There's a lot there, and like there's a lot there, right? Like it's you got to pay attention to like really follow what's going on. It blew me away, like completely blew me away. It's one of the best movies I've seen in the last few years.
Wow. All right,
Yeah.
that's a very ringing endorsement.
The script is incredible. Like I don't want to say anything in terms of what the story is because
No,
I think
don't.
that you should go in as blind as possible, and I don't want to say anything for the listeners either. The script is incredible. The editing is incredible. The performances are all amazing. It in terms of what it does, like it's funny. It hits your emotions. Like it's impeccably well crafted as a film, and I would suggest everyone go see it. It's like for me, like The Northman is like I would go see it, but with reservations. Like I've told Laura on The Northman because she wants to go see it, and I was just like, I don't think you're gonna like this. I think that I will just watch it at home again with you
Right.
because like you should have the ability to turn this off when you want to because it just might be bad.
Take your bathroom breaks, your snack breaks.
Right. In the case of Everything Everywhere All at Once, I would just like unequivocally recommend it to everyone. I think it is unbelievable as an accomplishment.
Wow, that's
It's an enormous swing given the like think about the sentence that you just read.
I know. I didn't read the second one.
Like
I can read a few like of the next words, but that was a lot. That was a mouthful.
yeah, it is
An
an
unlikely
enormous
hero
swing.
must channel her newfound powers. We'll leave her at that.
Yeah, like ridiculous. It's a ridiculous movie, but it's amazing. Okay. Oh, I also started watching Heartstopper last night, which is on Netflix.
What's the Heartstopper?
So Heartstopper is a show about a like teenager in England that was just outed for being gay and like him going through his like life as a teenager essentially. And really really good. Really really really
Oh,
awesome.
you know what? Yeah, my wife was watching that the other day when I walked in. That
Yeah.
which reminds me, I started watching Anatomy of a Scandal, which I think is on Netflix.
Is it good?
It's 6 episodes, and episode 4 is like the twist, and I was like, all right, yeah, I get it. It was like it was very courtroom dominated, which is not my speed. Like let's have a story, and like there's a lot of like the courtroom stuff, which
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. It was a little bit heavy. And then I was thinking of you because I also watched Married at First Sight Australia last night. I like to imagine you in the background as an extra, like walking by in Queensland or wherever the heck they are. They're all over the place.
Yeah. No. I do not watch Married at First Sight Australia. I see the previews like regularly.
Yeah, it's terrible, but I can't look away. Sometimes at night when you just don't want to like think too much before you actually shut it down. That's a good like downshift into the evening.
Yeah, our show for that is Selling Sunset.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the new season just came out and we're rationing it. Like we watched the first episode and like stopped because the last season that came out, we watched them all in like a day and a half. And we were like, oh, this stinks.
Like, so here's my question. Here's my last final question to you for the day. Are you more of like, give me the 8 episodes, we're gonna plow through it, or like, hey, here's Mayor of Easttown, like see you next Sunday, like one at a time?
If it's a great show, I would prefer like the Mayor of Easttown strategy.
I think I'm
like
the same way. As much as I hate it, when the credits roll and you're like next week on Mare of Easttown, but it's still like the build all week. And that was the
Yeah.
beauty of The Sopranos for me growing up, is like you just had to wait till the next Sunday.
But even something like Peacemaker, which I really like and enjoy, right? I would prefer just to watch like 4 episodes of that at once, basically, and just be like, okay, let's finish this. It needs to be really, really good for me to be like, I am willing to wait for this. But I would prefer it when it's really good, I think. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. Okay. Penny, we got out of here in an hour 35 on a mock draft where we made fun of a tweet for 7 minutes at the jump. We talked movies for 10 minutes at the end.
God.
Like,
we're on Laravia Island for about 6 minutes. Yeah, we're figuring out the science here. Not the algebra of it, but we're figuring out the science of it.
God damn it.
Call it. Cut
it. Okay, Penny, tell them where they can find you.
Find me in my living room. Also on Twitter, Matt_Penny, and hopefully back here next week if Sam doesn't cut me.
Oh my God. I have a 2021 NBA draft redraft up on The Athletic that honestly, like, thank you guys for not making me dig a hole underneath my house and hiding underneath it for the bombardment of takes. Like, look, people got frustrated. They wanted to defend their guy. I get it, but like, it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. So thank you. I appreciate it. Big board is coming Monday. We were thinking about doing it today, but we just figured because of the NFL draft and everything that, you know, it probably made more sense just to wait. Right. You know, I'm trying to figure out as we talk right now, you know, what are the Steelers going to do here? What's going to happen here? We're coming up to pick number 20. We're rolling. Yeah, this thing's happening. Are they going to take a quarterback? Are they not going to take a quarterback? We'll see. I'm excited to find out. Okay. Penny, we're out of here.
We're out.
It's been good to catch up.
Great to catch up.
Please rate, review, subscribe, do everything you can to support the show. I kind of forgot what I was saying for a second. Please go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Game Theory Podcast with Sam Vecenie on YouTube. I have been very impressed with how many people have been subscribing recently because we kind of went through a down period there just because of me. Like, I wasn't updating it nearly enough. We are going to publish this podcast now that you have seen it already. We published this live on Friday morning. You can watch the shows on YouTube live now. That is the thing that you can do. It's great. Please watch them live, subscribe, hit those buttons that you can to support the show. We will be back probably over the weekend to talk a little bit about the playoffs. Until next time, though, we will talk soon.